There are different types of issues that can emerge. One of the issues that might emerge is that there is lack of clarity about what the roles are. So the chief executive will have an idea in his head or her head about what his role is or what her role is. The chair, on the other hand, has a different expectation of what the chief executive's role is. The other thing that can happen is that the board is unclear about its role and it acts in a certain way that the chief executive finds unacceptable. So really the issue is about getting those roles clear. That's the first thing. The second thing that can happen is that the procedures or the processes are unclear. And so the chair and the chief executive do not know what procedures, what processes, and what policies need to be followed. That in itself can result in confusion. So actually clarifying what the processes are is the next stage. The third thing that is important is that the nature of the interaction between the chief executive and the chair becomes unclear. So what actually is about lack of clarity of roles and lack of clarity of procedures manifest as an interpersonal conflict and all hell gets loose. So what is the answer to this? The answer to this in a dispute is actually to clarify, is this a question about the roles being unclear? Is this an issue of the processes or procedures or policy being unclear? Or maybe that just isn't any policy? And is this lack of clarity of roles and processes leading to a conflict or tension in the interpersonal relationships? Now there's another layer that can occur. And that layer that can occur is that it may not be any of these things. It may be that the organization itself is very unclear about what its purpose is or what its goals are. And the lack of clarity about its purpose and its goals lead to both the chief executive and the chair not being able to share a clear vision of what should happen in order for the work to be carried out. Why is it important that this needs to be worked out? It is important that it needs to be worked out because if the issue is seen as being just about relationships where conflict has occurred and gets personal, without actually looking at the root causes of what is causing this tension or friction, the issue will not be resolved. And often what we see is that both the personal conflict between the chief executive and the chair leads to one or the other of them leaving the organization. In my experience, it's usually the chief executive who leaves the organization and not the chair.